Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. He spent 10 days stranded in the Tasmanian wilderness, and now hiker Michael Bowman has revealed exactly how he survived. With no communication, dwindling food and surrounded by chest-deep snow, he's made it through the most treacherous conditions imaginable and lived to tell the tale. Michelle Wisby begins our special coverage with the interview.
Michael Bowman back in civilization, sharing his remarkable story of survival. Trapped for 10 days in remote Tasmanian wilderness, unsure if he'd make it out alive.
You never give up hope, but it just wasn't looking good.
This is the moment the 57-year-old Victorian man touched down safe in Hobart yesterday. But it all started last week. The experienced walker setting up camp near Lake St Clair at Mount Cuvier. A few days later, he set off for a day walk to Coal Hill. That's when he lost his pack in vast bushland, along with his emergency beacon, forced to spend the night stranded.
There was a spot under one of the rocks, probably with a gap about so big that I could lay under, and while it was freezing cold, at least I kept dry.
The next day, he followed his footprints back to his tent, and that's where he stayed.
Had no radio, had my radio with me, had no means of telling the time, so basically it was 9 days in there, just day and night, and virtually there was no sun in that time.
Even worse weather closing in around him.
The snow was just unbelievable. It was just unrelenting, not just the falling snow, but more the wind blowing snow, like blizzard conditions. It was just covering the tent up.
Left with a small amount of raw, freeze-dried food and melting snow for water. He spent a week like this before he glimpsed a rescue helicopter, but in a gut-wrenching moment it flew right past. He thought he'd lost his last chance of survival.
I'm not going to give up, If I die in the tent, I die in the tent. At least I'll find my body.
But on another trip around, he was spotted.
And I'm just standing there with my orange garbage bag, just waving around like a windmill. I just jumping up and down. I thought, they're probably going to see me. And then they turned around and came back towards me. I could see the red and blue lights. And I thought, this is the happiest day of my life. Because I probably wouldn't have lasted too much more than another night.
With the last of his strength, he clambered on board.
I was that happy I could have. I was running to the helicopter, and probably the snow was probably up to me waist. And sometimes I would have crawled to the helicopter. Physically, I was okay.
In an amazing show of resilience, survival and determination, Mr Bowman was saved from his entombed tent and flown straight here to the Royal Hobart Hospital. Remarkably unscathed, he was exhausted but alive. Today thankful to those who saved his life.
These guys, they are the greatest. They're just because the actual physical hardship they're putting themselves through, the dangers up there with that wind flying around in that, it's just unbelievable.
Mr Bowman's belongings remain on the edge of the mountain. He said one day he might return, but for now he's heading home. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
Our Tasmanian rescue crews are being heaped with praise over their brave mission to find him. Their success came down to a crucial moment and one final pass of the helicopter. But they say if it wasn't for a series of smart decisions and expert preparation by the bushwalker, he would have died.
These are the heroes that came down from the sky, an elite team of Tasmanian rescue workers with highly specialised skills. Their mission yesterday to scour the wilderness near Lake St Clair for the overdue bushwalker, as low visibility, wind and snow pummeled the area.
If you think of flying in a plane like sailing down the harbour in a cruise boat, this was more like whitewater rafting. It was quite turbulent, and the weather was quite changeable.
They were part of a mammoth effort, including teams on the ground, wading through deep, unrelenting snow. What was to be the helicopter's final pass for the day as the weather was closing in. A breakthrough, spotting something in the snow.
We went round for a second pass and Ingrid saw Mr Bowman. We came round for a third pass, and if he hadn't been there, we would have bailed out and had to head back because the cloud was coming down.
We were looking for a yellow tent and I saw a man very obviously waving his arms, standing next to a yellow tent, and I was confident that that was the man we were looking for.
We all carry some emergency rations, and so he had a Snickers bar and a bottle of water on the way back, and he certainly perked up.
He was saved from the beautiful but harsh wilderness of Tasmania after 10 days of limited supplies. But rescue workers say his survival comes down to his experience and choices, including the decision not to walk out.
Every decision and option that he has had after becoming separated from his pack has directly resulted in him being alive today.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
The spate of snow rescues has prompted warnings for those unprepared not to venture into Tasmania's vast winter wilderness. Snowfall is expected to ease across the state this week, but wild winds could be on the way for hikers setting out.
There are few places in Australia like Tasmania's winter wilderness. But if you're thinking of heading out there, be aware of what you'll face.
You know, you've got to imagine deep snow really takes it out of you, but it's also that navigation, you know, the really low visibility, and then the fact that the track that may have been there previously just won't be there.
Even experienced hikers can be caught out in the state's infamously unpredictable weather. Hundreds of sightseers have poured into Cradle Mountain each day this week, while it's believed around 30 people are currently crossing the overland track.
If they're doing day walks, they need to have waterproof jacket, pants, they need to have good thermal layers, good warm fleeces, a beanie, gloves. If they're planning overnight walks, they need an emergency tent, they need a sleeping bag that's rated for alpine conditions.
As well as an emergency supply of food, water and an EPIRB. Forecasters expect snowfall to ease this week, but there's still a warning for bushwalkers.
And we are expecting quite strong winds at several times over the next few days, so people should keep an eye on expected wind conditions also.
And while some in the community question who should foot the bill for rescues, the state government is ruling out charging for missions.
We don't want people to put their own safety at risk for fear of having to foot the bill should something go wrong.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
To other stories now, and there's breaking news with several crashes across Hobart. Police are responding to 3 separate collisions on the southern outlet. Another serious crash has forced the closure of a section of Tea Tree Road north of Richmond. The state government says it's now meeting with Tasmanian building surveyors amid fears rising insurance premiums will put them out of business. Launceston's Protec will close its doors on Friday after its professional indemnity insurance rose by tens of thousands of dollars. Building Minister Elise Archer says the cause of rising costs is out of the state's hands.
Unfortunately, this is an issue stemming from national and international issues that are out of Tasmania's control, specifically the cladding issue.
She'll meet her state and federal counterparts to discuss the flammable cladding issue tomorrow. It might only be a joke, but Tasmania Police aren't laughing at an event on social media encouraging people to storm the Burnie woodchip pile. Roughly 500 people said they were going to the event, while another 1,000 said they were interested. The event was deleted but has since been replaced with another group on Facebook. Police say they've now been forced to allocate resources to the port this Saturday to discourage people from trespassing. Tasmanian comedian Hannah Gadsby has received 2 Emmy Award nominations for her TV special Nanette. The show was performed to sold-out audiences across Australia and the UK and aired on Netflix. The nominations are for the awards Writing for a Variety Special and a Pre-Recorded Variety Special. The winners will be announced on September the 23rd. A Tasmanian living with prostate cancer has assembled an army of axemen to help others fighting the condition. The group is splitting and selling tons of wood in the hope of funding more specialist nurses in the state to help fight the condition which kills 9 people every day.
How much wood could a woodshop shop if there's a good cause to get behind? Well, lots. As it turns out, Brian Britt's army of chippers and choppers has already sold 30 tonnes of the stuff and will auction another 10 tonnes on Saturday night.
And on my wood carting selling, some of the things I've struck are wives that have lost their partners. And the next thing I've struck is young children that have lost their poppy. That upsets me because I've got 5 grandchildren.
Brian's on track to raise $25,000, money which will go towards hiring another specialist nurse in Tasmania. Currently, there are only 2 part-time prostate cancer nurses covering the state. It's something Brian is desperate to change after he was diagnosed with the condition in 2012.
I don't want my 4 boys to travel this journey. I've got heaps of men in this district that I like. They're my mates, they're my acquaintances, and if I can get them to avoid what I've been through, I will do it.
For months, he and his mates have been splitting wood by the trailer load. From teenagers to retirees, Brian's goal has united generations of helping hands.
The men are a little bit reluctant to say too much, and consequently they're behind the 8 ball with funding.
It's pretty quick when there's a fair few people here. Makes it a lot easier.
Fighting prostate cancer's stigma is also part of the plan.
But don't make the ultimate sacrifice and give up your life. I can go and show you 3 men now that were only diagnosed a number of months ago and they won't make Christmas. They be wishing they could be in my position or in your position.
If you'd like to chip in, head along to the Burnie Yacht Club on Saturday night. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
There's been another dramatic rescue in Tasmania, this time involving an overexcited Kelpie cross who found himself in a tricky situation. 7-year-old Ralphie had a rough night after becoming trapped in a gorge near Launceston.
There's not a moment to pause as police scramble through bushland in Blackstone Heights. The mission? Find a farm dog trapped 5 metres down a gorge. After a short and nervous wait for the owners, officers had this one all bagged up.
Not even injured.
Ralphie was soon reunited with his best friend Ross Harrison, lapping up a hard-earned thirst and the affection of Launceston's finest.
Yeah, look, he's a bit squirmy. He obviously was a bit stressed about it all. But once he was in the bag, he calmed down and I think he knew what was going on.
Ross was first to find the wayward Kelpie cross after he vanished late yesterday.
It was a bit dicey. So I got a ladder, about to climb down the ladder, and my wife pulled stump. She said, "No, not losing 2 of you."
He's not sure whether to keep a tighter leash on the pooch, but he has decided on Ralphie's next adventure.
Good night's sleep and a big feed.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
More Tasmanians are dying prematurely and from potentially avoidable deaths compared to other residents around Australia. A snapshot from the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare also reveals that coronary heart disease, dementia and Alzheimer's are the leading causes of death in Tasmania. The research shows the Northern Territory is the only place recording worse statistics than Tasmania. Regionally, Hobartians are living the longest, with the median age at 84 compared to 81 in Launceston, 82 in Devonport and 78 in Georgetown. Tasmanian wildlife authorities are responding to a report of a dead whale calf. The carcass washed up on Shooten Island, south of the Freycinet Peninsula. It's believed to be a 12-month-old humpback. The Environment Department says it could have died at sea and washed ashore, and a team will go to the remote island to try and find out its cause of death.
Well, back home now, and Tasmania will be represented in the new National Hockey 1 League as the Tassie Tigers. Hockey Tasmania has issued a call to arms to the community, saying without its support, the club won't have a long-term future.
It was a nervous wait, but Hockey Tasmania was all smiles today. The Tassie Tigers securing one of 7 spots in the new Hockey 1 League. Played over 9 weeks, it'll replace the AHL.
We want our kids aged 7 or 8 who have started the game this year to see our elite players running around.
Matches will be televised nationwide, giving the Tigers and players exposure in the lead-up to next year's Tokyo Olympics. All home games will be played at Hobart's Hockey Centre, but the team is looking northwards.
We have got aspirations to play them in the north in the future. We've just got to do some things to get some of those centres up to that level.
Andrew McDonald will coach the men's, while in a coup for the women's, former Kookaburra Luke Dorner will take charge of them. On the playing side, hometown hero Joshua Belts is signed up to play.
To get to represent Tassie on a national level as a senior men's team is incredible, so I'm really excited.
while current Van Diemen's captain Sarah McCambridge will be part of the women's side.
Mix of youth and experience within the team, which I think you need that good balance.
Memberships are now on sale, but securing corporate support remains a challenge. Mr. Smith warns that without community backing, they won't survive.
If we don't get the support, we just can't put our teams on the park. We're going to need support from everyone in our hockey community to make sure they get behind us.
Their first match will be against the Adelaide Fire at home on October 5. John Hunt, 7 Tasmanian News.
Hobart paddler Kate Eckhart has won a bronze medal at the World Under-23 Canoe Slalom Championships. Eckhart claimed the prize as part of an Aussie trio in the C1 Teams event alongside TIS athlete Demelza Wall. They were the only non-Europeans to medal on the opening day of the championships. The Launceston Tornadoes are looking to finish a disappointing season on a high when they take on Waverley this weekend. They defeated Diamond Valley by 7 points on Sunday to record their first win since May. The Tornadoes host Waverley at home on Saturday night, with the Falcons currently clinging to a finals berth. Michaela Bingley says they want to start building for next year, starting with this week.
Hopefully finish off with a bang, especially in front of our home crowd. No, it'd be nice to get a win.
Tip-off is at 6:30 on Saturday night.
Good evening. A cold front brought gusty winds with it today. Mount Wellington recorded one of 120 kilometres an hour. All the major population centres on 13 degrees, while Friendly Beaches had our high of 17. St Helens and Flinders Island 14, Smithton, Low Head, Grove and King Island 13 today, Ouse and Strawn 11. Now cloud with that cold front brought showers initially to the west and north before a development elsewhere. Low level convective cloud behind the front as well. That same front has also reached Victoria. A cold moist flow has cloud over southeast Australia, while most of the nation free of cloud due to a large high. And a ridge from that high moves over us tomorrow before a cold front crosses tomorrow night. The high continues its work to the north. West to southwesterly winds 25 to 35 knots, shifting northwesterly at 15 to 20 knots, swells at 4 metres. Gale warning from Stanley to St Helens Point and from Wineglass Bay to Tasman Island and from southeast Cape to Sandy Cape. A strong wind warning for remaining waters and a small craft wind alert for the lakes. Minor flood warning for the Huon and the Derwent and a flood watch for the northwest river catchments. Hobart tomorrow, a top of 12, a shower or two. Showers increasing for Cygnet and 11 degrees for New Norfolk. Launceston, late showers and 13 also for Devonport, 11 degrees for Campbelltown with a late shower moving through, 13 for Burnie with that same sort of forecast, bit of wind picking up. Strawn showery, 12 and 13 for Smithton. And for St Helens, a late shower, 13 the maximum, 14 for Swansea, a late shower for Fingal and 12. Friday, showers over the west and south, fine for the rest of the state. Showers over the north on Saturday increasing and then extending to the west in the evening, fresh and gusty northerly winds. And on Sunday, showers extending statewide during the morning, easing in the afternoon before contracting to the west and far south. A shower or two in Perth, morning showers for Adelaide and later in Melbourne. Sunny conditions for Sydney tomorrow, 19 degrees, Brisbane fine as well. Fair bit of cloud about at the moment, 8 degrees in Hobart, partly cloudy and 9 in Launceston right now and 9 degrees in Devonport. We are expecting snow to level to around 700 metres this evening. By Thursday, 800 metres snow line and another 800 metre snow line on Friday night. But that'll rapidly rise. But what that's going to do, Rachel, is increase the runoff from the snow. So we'll have some swollen rivers by the weekend.
Yes, we all better take care. Thank you very much for that, Murph. Well, that's your news for this Wednesday, on a day when a bushwalker told of his amazing story of survival after 10 days in the wilderness. That's all your news for now. I'll be back a little later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.